Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode from Packaging Europe. This video is part of our Sustainability Perspective series, which sits alongside our Sustainability Awards and the Sustainability Packaging Summit. In this series, we talk to leaders from across the packaging value chain to gain insights into the industry's path to sustainability. In this episode, we will be talking about laminating for graphic arts applications with Raül Cobos, Marketing and Communications Manager at Derprosa. Derprosa is the Taghleef Industries brand focused on laminating films for graphic arts applications in paper packaging. Taghleef Industries is a leading manufacturer of plastic films for flexible packaging, labels, decorative surfaces, and graphic arts applications. Raül, thank you for speaking with me today. First of all, can you start by discussing why paper and cardboard needs to be laminated and how laminating impacts the product and packaging?
Hi, Melina. Hi. Thank you for having me and for your interest in the different applications that laminating films can really do for the packaging industry. Basically, what's important to take into account here is why lamination is really key for secondary packaging, actually. And it would be nice to describe what we are talking about. At the end of the day, we mean by laminating packaging, we're talking about the secondary packaging, any cardboard box which is used to protect the initial product, the good to be delivered from the brand to the customer. And the importance of laminating paper is in connection with the limitation that sometimes has the paper itself. By laminating the paperboard, we help the final product, which is a cardboard box mostly. We help it have specific features, specific properties, and specific performances that otherwise this product will not have. And the reason to be for this is like this is needed. This is not something that can be like skipped at some point, because if the packaging wouldn't have this lamination, it wouldn't be able to really perform as it is needed in the current times. We need lamination to apply or to bring more durability to the cardboard box. Lamination increases the durability of the print materials, allowing them to withstand frequent use. And at some point, this is really key, even though if the final product is going to be used like just once. Imagine you are receiving a piece of like a present, sorry. You receive a present and the cardboard box will be used only once when you receive it, but it will have to go through the whole distribution process, the whole distribution chain, and the box itself will have to withstand many different manipulations. And lamination is key in order to protect and to make the box more durable. It is also helpful for improving rigidity of the package. Sometimes the secondary packaging is really needed to bring more stability and this sort of protection to the good which is inside it. So this lamination brings more rigidity to the package itself in comparison to the alternative option, which should be not having any lamination at all. And also the protection against scuff marks, scratches, and scars. The printed material will be in contact with other printed materials. The box will be in contact with other boxes, and the whole process will have the opportunity to really be scratched and marked in the surface. If there wouldn't be any lamination stick to the surface, the possibility of scratches would be very, very, very high. And another issue is the ink dispersion. Any printed paper, any printed board has the risk of getting some ink dispersion because at the end of the day, lamination helps the package to keep it print designs, colors, and contrast, and the visual characteristics stable as when it was printed. Dispersion happens when there is no protection on the surface. So basically, lamination means keeping the surface protected all the time and no interference between maybe the external moisture and the inks, which are allocated in the paper surface. And this brings me to the point of the moisture and other liquid substances which can be in contact with the package surface. Again, without this protection, this moisture would affect the paper, and then the package itself would be maybe ruined or very, very much damaged without the possibility of recovering at all. Lamination is also helpful to bring an even surface for the post-printing finishes that can be also be used later on when you have a project, a design project for producing a nice package for, imagine, a perfume. It's not only the printed paper what is part of the design. Designers also want to apply other after printing finishes like hot stamping, varnishes, and others. So keeping a very smooth surface is very important in order to apply the after printing extra finishes. And this is also possible, and it's also a characteristic that can be better done by using laminating films rather than keeping the surface just as paper itself without any lamination. Another important issue here is that laminating paper and packaging stand up to wet cleaning if needed. This means that if the surface at some point gets dirty, it can be also cleaned very, very easily, because the laminating film, which is protecting the printed material, at the end of the day is a barrier in this plastic, so it can be wiped easily, and any stains can be removed without any problem. Another important topic, cellophane overwrapping films. If you have a package being laminated, it means that the brand can decide to stop using cellophane overwrap films, because most of the protection that the overwrap brings to package really is already covered through the laminating film. So if you have already the package being laminated, it means that the cellophane overwrap can be really avoided. The two main aspects to end up this list of benefits would be the enhanced visual appeal. Any package being laminated will bring a better look and better feel to the final product, as if you compare it with the option without lamination. You have more like in-depth colors, more bright, more contrast, more vivid performance, actually, in comparison to the plain paper being printed without the lamination. So this is something that sometimes we do not pay much attention to, but brands and designers, they really do, actually, because they want to really be able to express and to convey the brand image to the final user, to the customer. And to some of our lamination films, it's also very important to notice and to stress that with lamination films, you can also bring some extra qualities like haptics or tactile properties. And this is very important also in terms of neuromarketing. By this, we mean that the surface itself can bring some specific tactile qualities, some feeling to the touch, and this can be done thanks to the lamination films. We have some lamination films which already bring some tactile properties like soft touch, which was designed, developed, and trademarked and patented by by Taghleef Industries, and also a sandy feel, which is a more grainy and really sensitive to the touch. All these specific neuromarketing properties can be brought to the packaging itself thanks to the lamination films that we produce, actually.
And I'm wondering how laminating films affect the recyclability of a packaging.
Well, actually, it doesn't really affect this recyclability. Let's consider that we are talking about packaging made of paper, basically, and the laminating films are these thin layers, or single layer in this case, of plastic, which is bonded to the printed surface. So at the end of the day, the product we are talking about is a paper-made product. So it's mostly made of paper. And then you only have this little thin layer of plastic, which is the one we produce. So what happens here? The normal recycling stream in which the final product should be allocated, it is the one of the paper. So even though we are talking about a plastic laminating film, the product itself is mostly made of paper. So the recycling stream to be used, it is going to be the one of the paper, like the blue containers on the street. So what happens here is that once the user, the consumer, the customer, the final user is discarding one of those pieces of packaging, he or she will have to go to the right place to allocate this product, and this place would be related to paper. When the collection of the paper packages is done, the process will be the normal process of recycling paper products, and those utilities or those companies recycling paper products are already like capable or accustomed to deal with these little thin layers on the product itself. So the affection is null. It doesn't make any affection at all. And what's important to mention here is that the paper itself can be obtained after the recycling process, which is the main purpose of this recycling stream. And then the plastic is also being able to be separated from the paper pulp, which is the important thing. So in terms of recycling, you can separate both, and the systems in place are already doing it properly. And maybe the challenge here is what to do with the plastic material, which is separated from the paper pulp, okay? So there are two issues here. The paper, which is recovered, and the process is very well in place so far, and is working properly. And then maybe the challenge, as I said before, is this: what to do with the remaining plastic materials there. Here, it is important to mention that the main raw materials we use here is polypropylene, and polypropylene itself can be easily separated from the paper. So we are somehow supporting the recyclability of the package, the paper package, because polypropylene, because of its density, can be mechanically removed from the paper pulp without then making any interference against or through the paper recycling process.
Great. And so from what you tell me, the paper is already, able to be recycled, and then, there is systems in place to recycle the film as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And maybe the question is what to do next in terms of the plastic materials which are there, and basically now there are like two different applications in terms of the the recycling process in place, in terms of the technology which is in place. Some recycling companies are able to separate specifically the plastic materials in the process. So if they can separate the polypropylene, they will be able to do something with this polypropylene, like side product, and even they can produce some extra or other materials. So bringing more like circular to the process. Or in other occasions where they cannot separate the different raw materials, plastic raw materials in the recycling process of the paper, they just bring it to obtaining energy, like energy production. So mostly it's energy production, but some companies are already designing processes in order to be able to separate specifically, let's say, polypropylene in this case, and then make side products out of it.
Right. And in terms of the films themselves, what percentage of recycled material do laminated films usually contain?
Well, traditionally, there weren't any recycled materials for the laminating films in this graphic arts industry. And recently in Taghleef, we've been designing or incorporating new strategies in order to help and to support sustainability across our like value proposition. And we have envisioned and developed different initiatives. Maybe we can talk about it later. And for Derprosa itself, we were able to introduce or to set up one of these lines or initiatives within Taghleef, which is called Relife. And for this Relife initiative, for Derprosa, it means that we were able to introduce post-consumer recycled chemically polypropylene into our process. This is very new. This is only maybe 2 years old already. And this is so new for us that is so new also in the market. So to answer your question, normally there isn't any recycled materials in the content of usual or normal laminating films in the market. But Derprosa, since 2 years ago, we incorporated one of those lines or let's say initiatives in which we are incorporating up to 50% of post-consumer recycled polypropylene into it. But again, this is quite new, and in the market, most likely we are the only ones are now offering it.
So there's kind of a low supply of laminated films containing recycled material at the moment?
The supply is very low in terms of the laminating films. As I said, we are the first ones doing it for graphic arts application for laminating paper. Not just for other applications like flexible labels, in which Taghleef Industries, as the whole group, we've been developing this for longer. But for graphic arts, we are the first ones and maybe the only ones now in Europe.
You mentioned Relife. I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit more about Relife and how you have used raw materials from used plastic residues.
Yeah, basically, Relife, at the end of the day, is the same. It has the same properties, the same qualities, the same performance, and the same characteristics as the fossil-based raw materials. We managed to offer the same grade in terms of quality, but using a raw material which is coming from sustainable raw materials, actually.
Right.
By means, I mean the raw material itself comes from already used plastic materials in the market. So the sourcing for this comes from a petrochemical company which is using these materials already being used. They collect it, they use it to produce monomers and then polymers, and then they will produce the same quality of polypropylene that we use as a virgin raw material. And that's allow us to produce the same quality final product as we were producing before. And Relife, it's important to mention, is everything is made out of polypropylene, bio-oriented polypropylene. It's not polyester, it's not any other raw material. It's always polypropylene and the same quality as the average raw material, fossil-based, that we've been using so far.
Yeah, so the quality is the same in terms of like how these films compare to those made from non-recycled fossil-based materials. Is there any difference in the quality and performance in terms of graphic arts applications for films made through Relife?
No, not at all, not at all. The manufacturing process is the same, the quality control is the same, and it is very important that the whole process must be looked after and controlled and certified and audited by a specific body, which in this case is the IESCC, which we've been already certified by them. So it is important to mention that obviously this is about raw materials, basically, because the manufacturing process is the same as we are using for other normal raw materials. And is ISCC the one in charge of controlling that we are really using the certified recycled raw materials that we mentioned, and also to control that what we sell is specifically what we bought, okay, in terms of these raw materials. The control is very strict, and we are happy that this is the way they've been doing it so far.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if we can talk a little bit about, circularity in films. Another aspect that, affects how sustainable a film is the thickness of the film, if I understand correctly. So I'm wondering how thinner films can be created without sacrificing any of the properties that make a film effective in graphic design applications.
Yeah, well, the issue here is being able to deliver the same performance by using less raw material. Normally, we measure thickness by microns. So reducing 1 micron out of the total is a really important step. And sometimes, or many times, is quite difficult. And the difficulty lays on the issue that we must keep the same quality as if we didn't really reduce the thickness. So just every step further we take towards making everything thinner must be really conscious and must be taken in a very cautious way, because we cannot risk the final performance of the film, and we are able to doing so by means of improving and investing on equipment. Sometimes it's about the equipment we use in order to allow us to produce a thinner film, able to perform the same way as the previous one. And also in terms of the human factor here, okay, our R&D people and our colleagues working on the premises, being able to really make some adjustments in the process so that we can make the same film but a bit thinner, so that it will keep on providing the same sort of performance all the time. And it is also about the raw material. Sometimes being able to select the right raw material, the same grade and the best quality possible is what allow us to really deliver in a stable, very, very thin film. We've been doing this since the beginning of the company. One of the challenges every year is how to make things a bit thinner, how to make our films a bit thinner, keeping the same characteristics. And also when we develop a new film, of which we might not have a benchmark previously, we always try to make it the thinnest possible. Right. Because at the end of the day, it's not about producing film, it's about making something that really does what is meant to do. And the premise is less raw material to produce the same result.
Yeah, and I know, you said this, that the goal is to not affect any of the properties that make these films valuable in the first place. But I'm wondering if there are any properties that are affected and how you kind of have gone about addressing these in the development process.
Well, in the market, in terms of competition, this is also one of the key competitive elements. Everyone is trying to use less raw material, and everyone is trying to deliver the same sort of performance. We are competing against each other by being compared against the same characteristics. So why people like us, companies like us, Taghleef, are in this leading position in the market, basically because we are able to really go to the limit without going beyond our limit, our technical limit or limitations. So what's good in terms of Taghleef, in terms of the way we do things, is that we do not risk quality. We do not risk any specific characteristic. Let's say if a film must be a shiny one, a glossy one, we must assure that the level of glossiness is even throughout the whole surface of the film without having any disturbance or any area in which is not meeting the quality or the levels of quality we must assure. So sometimes it's not just about manufacturing, it's about keeping the quality of any characteristic among the limitations that we have designed as correct or a must for our product. Let's say it could be about how gloss they are, how matte they are, transparency, how easily to be bonded to paper or not, tension when coaling the whole lamination film into the core to be deployed. So it's not only just the final performance of the film on a product, on a package. It's also about the quality of the film for the whole application chain. So its distribution, its lamination process in the printing shops, is then what happens when a product package is in contact with another, is the performance when this package are being used by the consumer. So all these characteristics must be kept and well controlled, and we must assure they all perform nicely, so that we believe the thickness of the film is already to the or behind the limit that we can produce.
Yeah. And I'd also like to talk a little bit about Dynamic Cycle, which is a set of initiatives by Taghleef Industries aimed at addressing sustainability challenges faced by various stakeholders. What does this translate into in practice? And what are some of the key challenges that you aim to address through these initiatives?
Yeah. Well, Dynamic Cycle is like the depiction of our corporate philosophy, by which we are consciously committed to work towards contributing to a better future for us all. This means keeping the right compass in our strategy in terms of investments, developments, and actions. By this initiative, Dynamic Cycle, we try to really partner, to make partnering with the society itself. It's not just about us. We tend and we want to have partnerships with other stakeholders in the industry, so that we all together really produce better solutions for society itself. It's a way to cooperate with designers, with specifiers, with brands, with technical people in the industry, so that we can really deliver better options, more sustainable options, and even in terms of designing or envisioning new products. Without this interaction with the market itself, we won't be able to really deliver what it's expected in the market. And dynamic cycle is like like a scope, like an initiative, like a compass, in order for us to deploy and to put in place our resources the right way. It's like culture now for Taghleef.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about the redesign service that you offer under the dynamic cycle set of initiatives?
Yeah, today we are talking about laminating films for graphic arts, which is, as I said before, we are talking about paper-made packages and the laminating films which cover them and bring them specific qualities and characteristics. And under dynamic cycle, for these applications, we envision the service of cooperating with brands and graphic designers in order to support them by bringing them, teaching them, making them available all the information we have in terms of raw materials, in terms of specific films for specific applications, which may help them really deliver the best options according to the brand and the product they are gonna really design the package for, or the use that this package is gonna have for the final user, the consumer. So what I mean by this is that sometimes graphic designers working for brands, they do not really have all the information about the possibilities and the characteristics and the portfolio which is offered in this case by us, by Taghleef. And then now we can tell them, hey, this is the wide portfolio of products, the wide approach that we have to different raw materials. This is the way they can be recycled later on according to different, imagine there are different capabilities, recycling capabilities in different markets. So we already have this knowledge because we are present worldwide. So we can help brands to really opt or choose the right laminating films according to the specific market in which the final product is going to be developed. So we are not just talking about relating ourselves with the printer or the company using our films. We are relating ourselves to the designers and to the brands, and then at designing stage we can help them choose and opt for the right choice, but empowering them by the right information and also making them able to challenge us. Because sometimes when we open up ourselves and tell them, hey, this is what we have, these are the different options that we have, everything we have, you can use it. And considering pros and cons, this way we can also be challenged. And if we are challenged, we can also learn from that and also improve ourselves. This is like a two sides cooperation. We bring ourselves to the designers and brands. They can make better decisions according to their own strategies. Most of them are in line with sustainability. And at the same time, by this interaction, we gain because this way we understand what the market really needs, because they are really in touch with the market. They are in connection with the final users. Their questions, their feedbacks are the ones that we use to improve, to move forward, and to, at the end of the day, deliver and provide better solutions, better films, better products for them, and then for the market.
Is there anything else you would like to tell our audience before we wrap up?
Maybe we can close this by, and this is something I mention every time I have the opportunity. We are talking all the time about plastic materials, plastic films, and it's important to mention how important plastic is in our lives and how much we care about it, and also to underline, to stress that even if we are talking about something which apparently is not so even noticed by the users, which is that a package like like this, like a secondary packaging to protect a perfume or a piece of like a gift that you receive. It also has a thin layer of plastic, which is helpful, is useful. It can be recycled. It can be made of recycled resources. And at the end of the day, we are really helping society to have a better experience without compromising resources or nature. At the end of the day, we are here because this is helpful and this is useful. Okay, if it wasn't, obviously there wasn't any reason to be, and there are many to be here.
Excellent. Thank you, Raul. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, and I hope this is being helpful for everyone. Thank you, Melina. Thank you, Packaging Europe.